Beloved of God, may the Lord fill your minds and your heart with His peace. Amen. Today is the Wednesday of the 31st week in ordinary time. And as usual, I've come your way with the daily reflections. We reflect on the gospel of the day from St. Luke chapter 14, verses 25 to 35. And reflect on the caption, the mark of a true disciple. After leaving the Pharisees' house, great crowds followed Jesus. Remember that all along in chapter 14, the teaching of Jesus seeks to humble the so-called scribes, teachers and custodians of the law, and rather to elevate the poor, the suffering, the marginalized, and those without accolades. So it makes sense that a crowd would identify themselves with Jesus. But was it truly for love of the word, his teaching? It could be that they love the way he always speaks in their favor. But it could also be that they have seen him perform miracles and fed people. So they were after miracles and food. All the same, the crowd have become followers of Jesus. But at this point, Jesus didn't need followers. He needed disciples. Whereas a follower is a person who accepts the leadership of another, a disciple is one who believes and helps to spread the doctrine or teaching of another. So as followers, they accepted the leadership of Jesus. But it could be for their own selfish interest of what they stand to gain. But as disciples, they first need to understand the word and teaching, to believe it, and to be prepared to spread it. How did Jesus fish out true disciples from the crowds? By bringing out another sermon that seeks to cut down the number. A sermon admonishing people to hate their parents, siblings, and themselves if they want to be his disciple. The aforementioned, beloved, is what we call family, the core unit of dependence. One will ask, who is this man at all? Just yesterday, you were speaking for us. Just the other day, you were admonishing us to love our parents and our family. And today, you are asking us to hate them. Can you be pleased at all? Exactly the point. He doesn't need people who will please him to get something. Rather, he needs disciples who bear the mark. To hate, as used here in today's text, is not antagonism, but rather to love less, as in the case of Jacob, Rahel, and Leah. You can compare the story from Genesis chapter 29, verses 30 to 31. Christ seeks that the first mark of a disciple is to love God above all else. He will go on to say one should pick up his or her cross, meaning to identify ourselves with him in shame, suffering, hardship, and to surrender totally to God's will. Then finally, if indeed we seek to believe what it teaches and to spread it, we must count the price we are to pay before we decide to stay as disciples. Beloved, no one holds fire and not bear any mark. No one goes through smoke and smell the same, unless this smoke is divinely designed, like the case of Daniel and companions. One cannot surrender to God as a disciple and still look the same without a mark. Are you a disciple yet stay off from a case of maltreatment and corruption from your workplace for not wanting trouble? Are you the type who fears to point out the truth because that fellow is your benefactor? Are you beating about the bush to present a good face? Do you go by that philosophy of keeping quiet because you are alone and your voice wouldn't go far? Think of it. Do you think you will surrender totally to the will of God and still be loved by all, and still not face opposition, and still not be threatened? Do we say the Bible does not provide food on the table and so sell our integrity and still claim we are disciples? Do we really love God above all else? If you do, where is your mark? Because the one who has really gone that far with the Lord is seen not only through his or her words of prayer, but with the mark he or she bears. Our shame, our suffering, being misunderstood, the challenges are the mark we bear. But just as the cross led to the glorification after resurrection, our marks are but a documentation of the faithfulness of the Lord that is to be outpoured upon our lives so long as we stay as true disciples. I bring you greetings from the valley of prayer and silence, and may the Lord fill your minds and your heart with his peace once again. Have a spirit-filled day, favored of Yahweh.